Crystal Tomlin. Once again, Crystal, you're going to be the last witness on this bill. If folks are in line, we'll be able to testify on the next bill. But I have you testifying on behalf of yourself against the bill.
Sorry, my name is Crystal Tomlin. I'm representing myself. I'm against HB 60. I have rheumatoid arthritis. This disease causes excruciating pain if left untreated. I have woken up screaming in pain, unable to move my legs. Fortunately, I'm one of the few with this disease whose condition is controlled by medication that's pretty toxic. My doctors warned me against pregnancy. I take the appropriate measures to prevent pregnancy. I'll do whatever it takes not to get pregnant. Should I get pregnant, I'll do whatever it takes to terminate that pregnancy, because I will not risk the chance of feeling that kind of pain again. Before I started treatment, it took everything I had just to get up to go to work, and that's all I did. When I came back home from work, I just cried. It was too much pain every day for 3 to 4 months before I started treatment. And if I had to stop taking the medication and the treatment comes back, I don't know if I can regain control. A pregnancy may not kill me, but it will certainly take my life. This disease scares me. And this legislation that is taking away my options terrifies me. Please vote against HB 60. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. At this time, we're going to close the testimony on House Bill 60, and we're going to call on Representative Laubenberg to close on her bill.
Mr. Chairman, members, respectfully, I close.
Members, at this time, the chair withdraws the committee substitute to House Bill 60. At this time, it's the chair's intent to leave House Bill 60 pending. Chair lays out House Bill 16 and calls on Representative Laubenberg to explain the bill.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I have a substitute.
At this time, the chair lays out the committee substitute to House Bill 16.
Okay, and basically the difference between the original and the substitute are the same things that was in the House Bill substitute on House Bill 60. Section 1, the word has changed from the legislature finds to, for the findings, to the findings indicate. Section 2, we changed the wording from the anomaly to severe fetal abnormality to line it up with the health and safety code wording. Those are the only two changes. This House Bill 16, we heard much testimony tonight, is a standalone bill that was also a part of House Bill 60. It is the preborn pain bill, which would prevent abortions at 20 weeks and beyond based on the science and technology that we have today that we did not have 40 years ago, to show that a child in the womb at 5 months, 20 weeks, post-fertilization age, can indeed feel pain, which places the state in a position to have a compelling interest to protect that part of the child development, to protect them from the pain. With that, I'll answer any more questions, and
members, any questions before we open it up for testimony? If there are no questions, now I want to remind everybody that wants to testify, remember you will have had to sign up for House Bill 16. So if anybody's in line and you haven't filled out the witness affirmation for House Bill 16, please go and do that. If you have, then your place is secure in line. And once again, we're going to have testimony over the next hour. So I would encourage each of you to be prepared to use your time prudently so as many people as possible can and testify. So, Representative Lawberg, we're going to give you the right to reserve the right to close, and with that, we're going to open up for testimony. And all those who testify, you have to bear with us because everybody's in line. It's a little more cumbersome to kind of get this queued up, but if you'll bear with us, we'll be able to do that.
Okay, go ahead and close.
Okay, we're going to start with the chair is going to call up Sarah Eckhardt, who is here to testify for herself against the bill.
Thank you. I am Sarah Eckhardt. I'm here to testify against House Bill 16. I am a mother of 2 children. I have a darling husband. When I married my husband, I was very excited about having children with him, but my body did not quite cooperate. I had no problem getting pregnant. I had a difficult time staying pregnant. I had a series of spontaneous miscarriages. My doctor informed me that, in fact, a high percentage of pregnancies do end in spontaneous miscarriage, perhaps as high as 40%. And so when I had a spontaneous miscarriage in my first trimester, I was a practicing attorney and I was prosecuting a criminal case, and while the jury was deliberating, I cramped up, and I won't spare you the details. But the walls in that courthouse were not wide. The stalls in that courthouse bathroom did not have hospital admission privileges, and my uterus did not consult my physician or get a sonogram before rejecting that pregnancy. When I had a spontaneous miscarriage in my second trimester, I was just beyond 20 weeks. I don't know whether that child that I wanted very desperately felt pain at the time that my body spontaneously miscarried, and I then eventually went in for a D&C. But I do know this, that my body can make this choice without your regulatory intervention. But you are suggesting that my mind cannot. I find that deeply offensive as a woman, and I would ask you to vote against this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. And just so everybody knows, if you've registered on a bill, regardless where you testify, then you are registered as being either for it or against it. So that is part of the record, and I want to make sure everybody understands that. At this time, the chair is going to call Rose Martinez. Is Rose in line? Rose Martinez. It's not going to affect anybody, but Rose will show. Rose would represent herself against the bill, not testifying. And let's see.
Excuse me, I'm registered on this bill. I was registered on both. Why do I have to go outside now that I'm up to the microphone, sir?
We're not saying she's registered to testify on 16. On House Bill 16.
What's her name?
Her name is Whitney. Whitney? Ask her if she's Whitney.
Are you Whitney?
I'm Leslie.
Leslie Luciano?
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't show her registered on 16.
We don't have you registered on 16. We had you registered on the previous bill.
It's not showing up. So.
Well, here's what I'd like you to do. Let's make sure you get registered, and we'll.
And then I'll get back.
No, we're going to put you right back where you are, but we have to have you registered. So.
Thank you.
But if you'll get registered, then we're going to take the next person while you're getting registered.
That's
okay.
Beautiful.
And we'll put you right back. You don't have to start all over again. Okay, Carlos Martinez, Aguirre. I'm sorry, Carlos. I have you represent yourself against the bill.
Right. Well, my name is Carlos Martinez Aguirre. I am a student here at UT, and I am a constituent of Nicole Collier up in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm here to represent my family, in particular a member of my family that can't be here today. I'm from an extremely Roman Catholic family. The people in the town from where my family originates are convinced they're descendants of a saint. And so religion is stressed heavily in my family. Unfortunately, in those types of families, you don't really talk about things like abortion or unwanted pregnancies. So these things get swept under the rug. My grandma had 3 daughters. Unfortunately, she only can say that she has 2 daughters now that are alive. In 1982, one of my aunts had an unwanted pregnancy, and so since these things get swept under the rug, she decided to, and I know this doesn't really tie in with 16, more with 60, but
No, we have to keep our testimony.
Okay, well, we could just say this goes for 16. She had an abortion through someone her friend told her was secure. She ended up dying of complications of the abortion, and so with the bills that are being presented today, in particular 16, I feel that I don't want this to happen in other families. Again, I come from an extremely Catholic family where life is extremely important, and we believe that it is the best thing that God can grace you with, but it can't come at the cost of women dying because they have to get unsafe abortions in places where that aren't regulated. And so I'm just opposed against these bills.
Carlos, thank you for being
here.
Thank you for your testimony.
Listening. I got a test at 10 tomorrow, so thank you for staying up here
Well,
soon.
go study. Joseph Potter here representing himself against the bill.
Good evening. My name is Joe Potter, a constituent of Representative Elliott Neistat, speaking in opposition to HB 16 on behalf of myself. I'm a professor at the University of Texas, where I conduct research at the Population Research Center. For the past 2 years, I've been the principal investigator of the Texas Policy Evaluation Project, which is a comprehensive 3-year study of the impact of the actions taken by the previous legislature. Before turning to the possible impact of this additional restriction on abortion in the state, I think it's good to review what we know about the impact of the legislation passed in the previous session. As part of our research, we've collected information from a large proportion of registered abortion providers in the state, and from 318 women seeking care at those facilities. I'd just like to highlight 5 findings from this study. First, viewing the sonogram had virtually no impact on the decisions of women who went to clinics for the first visit. After viewing the ultrasound, almost all of them returned for a second visit in the procedure they were seeking. Second, the multiple visits did impose financial and other burdens on women seeking care. Third, and this is probably the most important, in the 3 months prior to their clinic interview, fully 45% of women were unable to access the birth control method they wanted to use. Fourth, 7% of the women that were interviewed reported taking something on their own to try to end the pregnancy. Last but not least, the sonogram law, HB 15 of the previous session, did indeed make it more difficult for more expensive and more difficult for providers in providing service to women. With regard to HB 16 in the future, I think it's been argued heretofore that the intent is not going to be anything to help women's health, and that the brunt of the impact is going to be on the low-income women. Now, the point I'd like to make is that these very same women who have had their access to birth control drastically curtailed in the last 24 months. What seems to me to be particularly cruel is that the proposed legislation would take effect just when the impact of the measures the previous legislature took dismantling the state's family planning safety net were having their maximum impact. As you know, in late summer of 2011, the funding for the family planning program run through the Department of State Health Services was cut by 2/3. And on January 1st of this year, the largest provider of services under the Women's Health Program, Planned Parenthood, was removed from that program. So to summarize, these proposed restrictions will take place exactly when the impact of cutting family planning services in this state are having their maximum impact on low-income women. Thanks very much.
Thank you for your testimony.